In the spring of 1812, London suddenly discovered its first great superstar, a 24-year-old poet, Lord Byron. His name was synonymous with danger and seduction, beauty and mystery. Every society hostess now wanted Lord Byron at their party. I've been tracing the footsteps of the man who thrilled and scandalized Regency London. Byron's first great foreign adventure was driven by a lust for life and an omnivorous sexual appetite. I followed his journey, meeting Portuguese ladies of the night, wild men of Albania, to Turkey, the land of sodomy and sherbet, before discovering revolutionary fervor in Greece and sowing the seeds for the tragic early finale of his life. Byron had returned to London with Childe Harold, the steamy, semi-autobiographical poem about his travels. It was an unprecedented publishing sensation. Overnight, he became indelibly famous, and the cult of celebrity was born.
Fame was a poisonous flower, a deadly nightshade. It bloated an already enlarged ego. Its poetic perfume was soon overpowered by the stench of raw scandal, as Byron's whole life was about to be held up for public scrutiny, exposing dark whispers of insanity, alcoholism, sodomy, and incest. Soon, Byron would have to leave town.
I'm going to follow his flight from scandal into exile on the strangest and most extraordinary adventure of them all.
My first brush with Byron was something I read by Elizabeth Longford at school when I was 15. She described how one summer's afternoon in 1933, two local vicars set off through a leafy village to an ancient church to exhume the body of Byron. Breathless with excitement, they removed the lid, only to see that Byron's body was almost perfectly preserved. They noted with some surprise that he had an enormous erection of gigantic proportions. This hard-on, which had lasted since 1824 when Byron had died, must surely have been some kind of a record. I was hooked.
Byron's sexuality both drove him and got him into trouble. With his newfound fame, women swooned for him at every turn. But his extravagant lifestyle meant he was always broke. So in September 1812, he proposed to Annabella Milbank, a serious young heiress. To his horror, she turned him down, writing that Byron's lips concealed an inner sneer. But Byron didn't like rejection. He persisted, and a year later, they married. The novelist Edna O'Brien, who knows a thing or two about shocking her readers, has made a recent study of Byron's love life. And in particular, his doomed bid for nuptial bliss.
The wedding itself was not auspicious. They got into a carriage for the honeymoon, and on the way there, Byron vowed that he would punish her for having refused him. So he put terror into her. He was delighted to tell one of his many friends that he had Lady Byron on the sofa before dinner. Well, now we come to the nighttime sleeping arrangements. He said he was used to sleeping alone, but if she wished to sleep next to him, she was as good as any other animal, provided it was young. I mean, that was not very romantic.
I think girls like her being so uneducated about something like sex, and that he having this shock tactic propensity for sodomy. I always imagine, my fantasy is that when they got to the house and he has her on the couch, that he actually just lifts up her dress and has her up the bum. Good hooray girl that she was, she probably enjoyed enormously, laughing like a barrel every time he upended her and slapped her bum and, like, you know, I believe that she gets quite into sex with him and stuff like that.
Yes, she wrote that that they had sex even when she was menstruating. And there was a slight element of boast in it. Her sexual life with him was probably great for her. That was taken away in her mind and subsequently in reality by his love of his half-sister.
Augusta Lee was Byron's half-sister and had secretly shared his bed for at least a year before his marriage. She was now a frequent guest in the marital home. And Byron wrote of their relationship, "I am much afraid that perverse passion is my deepest." And now pregnant Annabella was obliged to watch hopelessly as the pair of semi-siblings frolicked like children in a fallen paradise downstairs. Annabella gave birth to their daughter, but within weeks, after terrifying rows and undeniable sexual violence, the marriage was over. She denounced him and hinted both at incest and marital sodomy. The Daily Mail du Jour had a field day, comparing him to Nero and Caligula. Friends abandoned him, even jealous ex-lovers joined in, divulging Byron's confidences that he had seduced 3 boys at Harrow and had corrupted his page Rushton.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Strangled by debt, ostracized by society, and in real fear for his safety. For a man as dramatic as Byron, there was only one option: exile.
As soon as he left, I think there was just an enormous weight off his shoulders. He felt free. And that is what travel does to you. It makes you feel free from the burdens of your own life.
On the morning of 25th of April 1816, Lord Byron left England for the continent. He would never see his wife, his daughter, or his sister again. But where others might have felt the weight of shame, Byron smelled freedom, and he was going to enjoy it in style.
Okay, Michael, where's the limousine? Oh my God, it's not that. Here's the thing. Byron had a huge coach made, a copy of Napoleon's own coach. It was green, it had NB for Noel Byron or Napoleon Bonaparte on the side of it. It had a bedroom, it had couches, it had kind of jacuzzis, everything. This is the state of British television.
Byron's London possessions had been seized by bailiffs, but his coach had escaped. He set off in private luxury with baggage and servants in another carriage.
Beluga? There's lots of key words here. Where is the beluga? Is that inside? Maybe it's going to get better inside. Come on, everyone.
Landing in Ostend, Lord Byron fell like a thunderbolt upon a chambermaid. At Waterloo, he picked up souvenirs from the recent battle. While England celebrated a famous victory, Byron, the anti-monarchist, mourned Napoleon's defeat. And from the Rhine, he sent word to London for more condoms.
Buongiorno tutti, benvenuto a bordo. Io mi chiamo Barbara, sono il tour guide e...
As Byron's exotic circus caravan rolled through Europe, notoriety preceded him. Announced in local papers, he provoked alarm and fascination in equal measure. Inspired anew, poetry began to pour from him.
I think the genius of Byron was to encapsulate this in words, and the dwarfing of the human ego by nature. And his ego was particularly gigantic and complicated, and he was driving that ego all the time, because part of him was just concentrating on being Byron and being more fabulous and more depressed and more shocking. But on the other side, he had, I think, this genius to sketch in words what he saw. All which expands the spirit, yet appalls, gather around these summits, as to show how earth may pierce to heaven, yet leave vain man below.